Hi, I'm Tony Russo, and in this episode of Brief Introduction, we're going to speak with Stephanie Castagnier Dunn, who is the Chief SBA Revenue Officer for Phoenix SBA, a Community Bankshare Company. She'll be giving a presentation at our upcoming funeral service business plan event in Pittsburgh on April 1st, and we're going to talk a little bit about the scope of her talk, which is entitled The Silver Tsunami, the Coming Wave of Business Transitions. But we get into way more than just what she's going to talk about. We talk about some cultural stuff with lending and funeral service generally. It's a great conversation. It's worth listening to, even if April 1st has come and gone. But if it hasn't, you can still register for the event. There is a link in the show notes, and I will catch you on the other side with more information about that. But right now, here's Stephanie. So we have coming up this funeral service business plan event, and you'll be speaking at it. Can you say a little bit about who you are and what you hope to get, what you hope people will get from your talk?
Yes, I would love to. Thanks for having me. My name is Stephanie Castagnier Dunn, and I am a 25-year bank executive, small business lender. I like to think of myself as a transformational bank executive and a fintech innovator. And I'm really passionate about just empowering the backbone of America and our American economy.
So when you say a fintech innovator, what do you mean by that?
I'm constantly thinking of how banks and lenders can meet owners where they need to be met. And in today's day and age, I don't know about you, but myself personally, everything I do is through a smart device online. And so I think the financial industry has the same responsibility. We need to make all of our products and services available through technology and technology platforms.
And that's an interesting thing to say ahead of your talk, which is the silver tsunami, the coming wave of business transitions, because that is there is a dual transition going on now in funeral service.
Yes, exactly. I have to say, I'm really excited about where we all are right now in this country and in the evolution of our American economy. We are experiencing today, and will continue to experience over the next, call it 20 years, the largest transfer of wealth this nation has ever seen. $100 trillion will be passed down from the baby boomers to the next generation over the next 10 years. 10,000, we hear about this now on TV, right? Over 10,000 baby boomers retire every day in America. So
That's
think
insane.
On small business in America. That's 68% plus of small businesses in America are going to be transferring hands over the next 5 to 10 years.
We just did a roundtable earlier this week, as it's March 7th as we record this, about the trouble with, or the issues surrounding succession. And there is the banking component is at least as important, if not more important, than the rest of the business component.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so back to your first question about what it means to be a fintech innovator. If you look at that transfer of wealth, right? We've been talking about succession for years now, and especially in the funeral business, we've known that this has been the industry evolution the last 10, 20 years, and continues to be the evolution now for the next 10, 20 years. But if you look at who's inheriting the businesses, or who is even just buying these businesses, right? It's the baby boomers and the younger generation. Well, the baby boomers and younger generation are very tech-oriented. And the financial industry, just like you said, has lagged for years. I mean, the financial industry is behind the healthcare industry when it comes to technology. Yeah. So we do...
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. I live on the state line, and two hospitals on either side of the state line merged, but God forbid you try to go from one hospital to another. They changed their names. They changed all the signage, but their computers won't talk to one another. And they're fighting over who's going to get to keep the legacy computer and who's going to not. So
I'm
yes,
sure. I'm sure. Well,
it's
that sounds like
bananas.
it's a fun corporate partnership there.
Continue to your point, but banking is fortunately making its strides.
Yeah, exactly. Banking's making its strides. It's about time. We still have a ways to go, but that's why people like me are excited to be bankers today, because this is huge opportunity for us to provide access to capital to the generation that needs access to it and how they need to get it. And if you look at the demographics of the new owners over the next 5 to 10 years, 53% plus of the new generation lacks basic financial literacy,
Wow.
right? So this is where we come in, right? We have to provide the value needed to these new business owners and the next generation. So we need to give them educational financial literacy. And then almost 70% of the younger generation doesn't know how to access capital.
Wow.
Right. So, I mean, I have kids. I don't know if you have kids, but we've done a really good job in making a lot of life decisions easy for them. And if my kids were on their own, my kids fall in that same category on where do you find access to capital? If all of a sudden I inherit mom and dad's business, how do I access capital now? And what are the leadership and financial literacy skills I need to run this business on my own, 100% on my own? So what do we need to provide as an economy to the next generation to make sure that they have all the tools they need to succeed?
That's interesting because I wonder how much of, because as you know, the number of children who are choosing to stay in funeral service is kind of falling off as well. And I wonder how much that has to do. People keep saying, "Oh, they don't want the hours and they don't want the emotional stress," but I wonder how much of that has to do with not wanting to have to figure out how to access capital every 35 days.
It's both, right?
It
It's
seems.
having to figure out access to capital and having to learn a whole new set of skills, which is the financial literacy.
Yeah.
I mean, when you own a small business and when you own a funeral home, you have to wear a lot of different hats. You do have to have the financial acumen to run your own P&L. And you have to have the financial acumen to be able to run your profit margins and your cost of goods. I mean, I think that every funeral director has to have those basic accounting skills and financial literal skills, which includes the accessing capital and making sure that the capital that you're accessing is suitable for what your needs are. There's so much noise out there in the financial world, more and more and more, that you really need to be educated to understand what options are available and what best suits your particular business needs.
Because too much is just as bad as not enough.
1,000%. That's a great line. I'm going to borrow that one. You're right. And we are in a world right now, because we have all these fintech companies in America. We're in a world, I don't know about you, but I get text messages asking me if I want a loan. Random
Yes.
text messages, So we're beyond the point of cold calling. We're being bombarded from all angles on get this. Here's a loan. Here's a credit card. Borrow more money. Borrow more money. But we have to make sure that we're all educated and responsible with the borrowing.
I sell about 30 or 40 books per year on my PayPal thing from some books that I've written. PayPal has $40,000 burning a hole in its pocket that it is dying to give me for my small business.
There you go.
Based on about $200 worth of sales a year.
Yeah. And not to mention, we were talking about access to capital, not to mention how many options there are out there of all the companies. Apple's getting into the business. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon gets into the business. Every credit card company in America, all the fintech companies, PayPal, it appears that every service company offers some type of financing option.
Excellent. And you're going to solve this for us in your talk, I guess.
Well, we're going to talk about where the market's going, the opportunities for all of us over the next 10 years and how we're going to set up the next generation for success.
And that is really all I have for you, unless you have something else for me. Is there something I should have asked and didn't, or something you thought you'd get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
I think that's one big hot topic right
Please.
now that I'm
Yes.
getting a lot of is, with all the changes in government, what it means for small business.
And that's a day-to-day thing. I mean, just what to do with the transparency, right? That they keep changing the transparency.
Yes. Well, transparency and what this is going to mean. And I think more than ever, business owners need to come together and we need to provide our collective think tank, if you would, to make sure we're on the forefront of government programs as well and government assistance and understanding the responsibilities as a whole to making sure that we're all part of the economic solution.
Yes, and because I'm sorry, so you are an SBA lender, and there must be, I didn't even think, there must be all sorts of potential and actual changes kind of in the wind.
Well, yeah, I'm a government lender, correct? I'm an SBA lender. So what happens every day in the government is very relevant to me. But as an American citizen, there are changes that are going to happen at the IRS level. There are changes that are going to happen with Social Security. And so we all have to be very vigilant and we all have to be in the know. And I think more than ever, we have to make sure that we're being financially responsible as each individual is financially responsible, and as a collective, we're responsible because more than ever, I believe there will be a very high dependence on the private sector.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear you talk. You're so excitable. I hope that this is great energy to have in a room.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. And likewise, it was great talking to you. Let's talk again soon.
Stephanie is one of several speakers that we'll have in Pittsburgh on April 1st. If you'd like to know the rest of them, you can click on the link in the show notes. It will take you to the page where you can register and you can get a list of the speakers and their contact information, and you can see the synopses of the talks that they plan on giving. Brief Introduction is a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo. Please subscribe wherever you're listening now. And feel free to check out some of our back issues. We have so many great podcasts. We've been doing this almost 3 years now. I think May begins my third year of doing this podcast. And so many great conversations. A lot of them are still not only relevant, but prescient. So make sure you take a look at our back catalog, and I will check in with you next time.